Recently, I came across this news. In various locations near Vancouver, Canada, posters promoting racial discrimination with the message, "Let's have white children play together," were discovered, prompting the police to launch an investigation. The BBC reported that advertisements for an event exclusively for white mothers and children have appeared in shopping malls in 3 cities, including Coquitlam near Vancouver. The posters promote gatherings of white mothers and children socializing together and start with the phrase, "Are you looking for a place where white children can play with similar others?" The relevant city authorities, after receiving reports over the weekend, immediately conducted searches and removal operations. They criticized the posters as white trash. On this day, the 3 cities issued a joint statement stating, "We conducted searches encompassing all bus stops in response to the reports," and emphasized such despicable garbage is not welcomed in any community or place. Recently, there have been numerous occasions where the term racial discrimination is prominently featured in the news. Particularly, there is a substantial number of news stories related to racial discrimination originating from North America. I believe this is fundamentally rooted in a global surge of consciousness to actively acknowledge diversity and work towards overcoming racial differences. However, from my perspective in Japan, when I see such news, it gives me the impression that while the nations involved advocate for embracing diversity and denounce racial discrimination, they may not realize the fact that events triggered by a bias of racial discrimination being the cause in response to the sanctions against racial discrimination are, ironically, inadvertently exacerbating racial discrimination. Consequently, racial issues persist in North America, evolving into a struggle against racial discrimination using the worldwide consensus that racial discrimination is wrong as a justification. It leaves the impression that racial discrimination in one form or another continues to exist in North America, persisting and evolving over time. This is the legacy that still lingers in North America. In regards to this news, the Vancouver City authorities seem to lack any consideration of human behavioral psychology and instincts. They uniformly address this issue as a problem of racial discrimination. First and foremost, without an understanding that humans possess a sense of belonging, wherein individuals naturally affiliate with specific groups or communities comprised of similar individuals, and recognize these groups or communities as an integral part of themselves, addressing the issue of racial discrimination would be futile, to say the least. In Japan, there are areas where Koreans gather, where Indians gather, where Georgians gather, where Chinese gather, where Brazilians gather, where Vietnamese gather. While the people living in these areas have assimilated into Japanese culture, there's an exclusive aspect. There are events and festivals held within their communities, as well as restaurants and grocery stores catering to the people within the community. This is because, even as foreign residents in Japan, they want to preserve their own cultural identity and share that identity with the people they live among in the community. This sense of belonging is also observed in animals. I once watched a TV program featuring animals, where they showed footage of a lion pride in Africa. In that pride, there were 2 albino lions who stayed a bit apart from the rest of the group. Even when they moved, these 2 albino lions kept a distance from the pride. This behavior stems from animals' instinctual sense of belonging and doesn't constitute species discrimination. On the contrary, within a country far from one's own roots, even if one's appearance is markedly different from the locals, there are instances where individuals fully assimilate into that society. However, upon going to the country where one's roots are said to lie, they may experience an identity crisis despite the presence of many people with a similar appearance. In this way, humans are inherently wired with a sense of belonging towards those of the same kind, as well as an inclination towards exclusivity against those who are perceived as different. If such behavior based on this sense of belonging is labeled as racial discrimination, it will entail denial of our biological instinct. I believe that people within the framework of embracing diversity need to acknowledge the existence of the sense of belonging. Without this awareness, issues related to racial discrimination may inadvertently be exacerbated due to a misunderstanding of the underlying essence of the problem.